removal cards, but that doesn't seem like it's enough if a deck's got that much beef behind it, I guess.
I think in the interest of balance, we should state, because, you know, the Control Warrior, we spent a lot of time like talking down the Control Warrior for that particular series. 3 people brought Control Warrior to this tournament. 2 of them made top 8. That's an incredibly good hit rate for that deck. So clearly it was doing something right during the Swiss, whether it was picking up bans or just, you know, beating up on the aggro decks or whatever. So still question marks around the Control Warrior as far as I'm concerned. But in that series, certainly did not look impressive.
And he was against Yala, who did not bring Demon Hunter, who did not bring aggressive decks, right? So maybe, you know, we've just seen the worst outcome. But anyway, let's move on to the next match. It's going to be Felkeine versus Thijs. Felkeine going to be it is the lower match, sorry, so the loser of this is done for the weekend and is out. The winner continues to go on and can fight versus Bunny Hopper in the decider match to see who else gets out of Group A. Thijs with the Demon Hunter available to him, the Highlander Hunter and the Spell Druid.
Yeah, I know it's a lineup you have some questions over, but I honestly like the Highlander Hunter. I think I said right at the start of the broadcast I was expecting this to be a week where Rogues came in and Highlander decks came in, and potentially both at the same time, right? So I think Highlander Hunter is fairly well positioned now that Demon Hunter has slowed down a little bit again. Now we see the curve increasing to like Priestess of Fury and so on, and it's not just the super lean version, which is just way too quick for Highlander Hunter to deal with most of the time. So I think it's in a pretty decent spot overall.
Yeah, and at the start of the day, I mentioned as we cast the first match of Felkeine that his Warlock has been banned roughly half of the time during Swiss, and it's been banned again in this matchup. So it's something we talked about last week, where even if the deck's a little bit off the wall or not, you know, core meta, if it takes a ban, it's doing a job in itself. Maybe not the job you exactly want it to do. You want it to win games, but if it's drawing out a ban and letting you play Demon Hunter, Rogue, Warrior, then you know what, like, fantastic. I'll play 3 of arguably the 3 best classes right now in the game and have my Zoo Warlock banned. Like, fine by me.
You can see Felkeine's Highlander Rogue. We've seen basically every variation of Rogue under the sun already in this tournament. But this is a fairly standard-looking Highlander Rogue list. I think, you know, as I mentioned earlier, when you are playing Highlander, you can essentially just sprinkle in a little bit of all the packages, the stealth package, the Galakron package, the secret package, and so on, and just hope that they line up in the right way for you, in which case your deck is absurd. Sometimes they don't, and then your deck is just very strong, and that's just a level that you're going to have to be happy with. But certainly when you're playing 2 ofs, like, you cannot fit all of this stuff into your deck. You have to sacrifice either stealth, secrets, or Galakron.
Yeah, and for me, this is much more akin to the version of Highlander I've been playing. It's not quite exactly the same, but it's very close.
Why is that, Raven? Is there a particular card that is in the deck that you don't normally play?
Yeah, actually, there is. Let me have a quick check. Where is it? Yeah, I don't play the Blazing Battle Mage on the list, or a Dragon's Horde, actually. Thijs on the Demon Hunter, though. Much more of what you guys would be expecting to see from Demon Hunter if you've played even on ladder. I don't think this is particularly a crazy deck. There is the Quest of Adventurers from Thijs, but I would say that's, okay, maybe not the most common version. It's not unseen or something super special, right? Quest and Adventurer definitely has its place in Demon Hunter.
Yeah, this version is kind of my boy. I like the questing version of Demon Hunter. I don't know whether that's just because I love questing adventure and I always have. Like, I've always liked questing rogue ever since like Casey brought questing rogue back into the meta. We did a stream together where he was essentially just teaching me how to play the deck, which I think is like one of the most fun streams I've ever done. I think just because of that, I have this connection to questing adventurer that whenever it shows up in a deck, I'm like, all right, sweet, questing deck, let's go. But I do genuinely think that it's powerful, and I do like the logic of when questing is in the deck, you also bring mana burn into the deck, because it's another cheap spell that you can throw out with a questing, and then on top of that also limits your opponent's removal options for dealing with your questing adventurer. So I really like the logic behind the deck building of the deck as well.
Yeah, and often if you protect your questing adventurer the turn you play it, so it lives for that one turn, can get an attack of, the win rate of that card must be insane if it gets to attack once, right? Because normally once if it can live past that first turn, it lives the next turn, and then your opponent's probably just dead by then. Honestly, that was my experience practicing with the deck as well. Up until the last 2 days, I was playing the questing version, and I've just been playing other versions to practice them post nerf. And yeah, you protect that questing once, and it's insane because all the cards just work so well together. But overall, if you're going to give someone if you're going to give someone a favorite here, Sato, who are you fancying in this matchup? Warrior, Rogue, Demon Hunter for Felkeine, and Thijs on Demon Hunter. That's a weird way to Demon Hunter, and Druid there for Thijs.
I think purely because I've been very unimpressed with post-nerf Spell Druid up until this point, just based on APAC earlier and what we've seen so far. I'm going to give the edge to Felkeine. I also think Felkaine's, like, he's just hit the ground running in GM so far, right? Like, he just already feels like he belongs here as a newcomer to the format. He's playing great. He's made top 8 2 weeks in a row. He's great fun to watch. So, I'm already a big Felkeine fan, so I'm going to root for him on this one.
Yep, we do have the matchup there, which is going to be the Rogue versus Demon Hunter for game number 1. But just a quick comment as well. I don't know if you went into it too much a little bit earlier on, or maybe just a shout out itself. But Felkeine is still playing the combo Demon Hunter. He is not playing tempo. Like, I feel like everyone's just left combo Demon Hunter to the side now, especially with the KT nerf. Felkaine's still here. He is still in the the top 8 again, and he's playing with the nerfed KT list. So he still thinks it's something there. Do you?
This ends now.
Sounds like a no.
Yeah, I mean, I'm never one to sit on the fence. So I'll give you the sit on the fence answer, which is I really haven't put enough time into it to give you a definitive answer. But no, I don't think it's a real deck anymore. I think it's potentially fallen off a cliff with that KT nerf, and I think it was fractionally overrated beforehand anyway. So that's the place I'm coming from, which kind of inherently biases me in terms of what I think of it now, right? So yeah, there you go.
Okay, well, let's kick it off. Felkeine versus Thijs. The loser is done for the weekend, and not in a good way, whereas the winner will continue on and face Bunny Hopper in the final match of the day. But let's go into it. Rogue versus the Demon Hunter, and this is, I think, very, very winnable for Highlander Rogue here. I think the Rogue is even Highlander, although your cards, obviously your draw isn't as consistent. You have a lot of tools to just take Demon Hunter off the board early game, and if you do it, you're in a great spot. Unless they just have like one of those hard burn hands with the Warglaive in, say, Metamorphosis, which Rogue just struggles to stop no matter what.
What is this hand, by the way?
Bad.
Glaive-bound Adept far left, blocking Outcast, and then 2 skulls, which are pretty soon just going to be dead center of the hand.
Whereas Felkeine is actually fully prepped here. I really like Zephyrus here, honestly. But what do I know? I'm not Felkeine. But the reason I like Zephyrus against Demon Hunter that does nothing early is if you start putting minions on the board before a Demon Hunter, I feel like you almost can't lose. So I'm a little bit surprised Felkeine didn't go for that then.
Are you aware that the card Altruis exists?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they can't Altruis you for a couple of turns.
No, I know. I just feel like get some minions in play against Demon Hunter and then you can't lose is a bit of an oversimplification when they have the best AoE card in the game available to them.
Sure, but I'm talking literally first couple of turns of the game. If it's anything but Altruis, you crush it. Especially with the Orc follow-up as well, or any, whatever 3-drop. So, I don't know. It's the way I've played against Demon Hunter with a few different Highlander decks specifically, obviously, because of Zephyrus. And it is consistently worked out very well for me. Maybe that's
let me ask you this. Did you want a Zeph for Wild Growth or for Animal Companion?
Probably Animal Companion.
I grow impatient.
And I know there was the Orc for turn 3, but so what? Have a turn 4 3-drop as well.
You know, spicy boy, aren't
honestly,
you,
honestly, I just want to play more stuff than the Demon Hunter. That's how I'd like to win these matchups.
Okay.
But we'll see if it pays off. I mean, Zephyrus is obviously extremely flexible, so just as much as it being a good tempo card early on against empty board, it can clear some stuff. But honestly, without Sacrificial Pact as an option,
I grow impatient.
Maybe the aggressive option's a little bit more worth, is all I'm saying.
So, I think against Demon Hunter, mid-game Zephyrus, like turn 6 Zephyrus for Holy Nova, for example, is insane a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you mentioned, the instant sack pact is no longer an option, which does weaken it a little bit as a removal tool in the matchup for sure.
Nice.
Cleef. He's cleefing.
Oh, shot. Okay, I actually, on my view, I didn't see him use the coin, so yeah, apologies. Yeah, this is nice. Shall step in the Zephyrus just to hold it for a rainy day.
And playing an 8/8. Yep, love it.
Told you, Sol, if you just play minions before the Demon Hunter, you win.
If you do the exact opposite of what I said and hold on to the Zephyrus and use it for an Edwin later on, then I'm right. Yeah, agreed.
We're both right, Sol.
As long as I'm more right.
Okay, you can be 1% more right if you want, if that makes you feel better.
Yes!
Demons.
I'll be the 10% bigger man here. And now, the combination of Felkeine just having a very good opening hand, especially considering his Highlander, versus Thijs' horrible opening hand. What does Thijs have to do here to really go for it? Do you think he has to just go for, I'm going to try and burn you out plan? And does that even work versus Van Cleef?
I think he's playing control for a turn or two. Because next turn he can like Twin Slice to activate an attack and then use Hero Power and Blade Bound to try and take control of the board. Then maybe he has an Altruist turn, and then hopefully at that point he's in a relatively stable spot and he can start Skull of Gul'daning and doing broken things. Problem is, 2 more 4/4s got added to the board this turn, which is about the most that Felkeine could possibly have done. And that means that Thijs' removal options are just too weak. I think he's just too far behind now.
Yep, and I think Thijs will also know he's pretty much always dead. I'm going to say always dead next turn based on his hand, because of just Zephyrus Wind Fury onto Van Cleef.
Well, the Van Cleef can still be killed with the Gladebound play that I was talking about, right?
Impatient.
Sure.
Which I think is still what he ends up doing.
So... Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, sorry, yeah, you're right.
Or he could have gone questing Slice, Hero Power, I-Beam instead, but I guess he's saving those resources for the Altruist turn, which makes sense.
Yeah, no, you're right. I was seeing if I was looking at it a different way. I thought he was going to try and take down the Faceless. Or the Facelesses. I don't know how you say plural of Faceless. Facelesses.
The Face-Ally.
Ah, yeah. Why did I think of that? Really not a bad flick turn, honestly. Not super fancy, but get the Gladebound gone, push another 8.
Flick your own Faceless for BM because you're that far ahead. Yeah, I love it.
Just looks good, right? Just keep him off the board, right? I don't... There are other ways to do it, but I think just having this 0-mana Zephyrus in hand is making Thijs, 1, probably a little bit upset, and 2, it's just better for you to have in hand than it is sometimes for it to be on the board.
Yeah. I was just trying to like engineer some way of developing a bigger minion than a 4 health this turn, with 100% caster vision that I know what Thijs' hand is, and then can Felkeine realistically say, well, I'm so far ahead that Altruist is the only thing I'm scared of, but it's nonsense because he didn't have that option that turn anyway. So,
and also honestly, if Altruist comes down, he can 100% kill it, and he's getting close to like just having Zephyrus lethal from hand very soon, right?
You can see he's not happy about it though. Like this card is a beating.
Give me a quest. Job done.
The Twin Slice pickup as well.
No orders in chat, okay? You're all smarter than that. Can we all just collectively agree that you're all better than that, okay? It's just an Edwin Van Cleef in his hand. I forgot that wasn't a real one for a second.
Yeah. Fake. I think... Oh, what if he... I'm trying to get... Or at least I'm not. I'm thinking if Felkeine's trying to get the dagger active and get Thijs to 8 health. Because then he can just win next turn outside of a taunt, but I don't think he runs any, right? But Felkeine rightly should be worried about dying as well. It's definitely a thing where he might just die. Wait, what's he upset about? Because
he wanted just regular cleave, 2 damage, deal 2 minions, and then he was going to play the Edwin afterwards. But Zephyrus just decided that healing for 4 is worth 1 mana, which is reasonable. True. You know, like Zeph doesn't look at your hand, so yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely one of those ones where you look at it, realize what Zeph offered, and you're just like, that's actually completely reasonable.
Oh, no. You definitely complain about that and at every developer that you can find and say that why isn't this freaking AI program card actually have all the knowledge of a high-level Hearthstone player at the same time as actually working through an algorithm?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what you do. I know that's what you do because I've seen it happen, and obviously what everyone does is what you're supposed to do. That's how it works, right?
I never know when to draw the line with you, Sol. Because what's funny is, I think a lot of people will be like, whoa, Sol's the savage one. It's like, no, I have plenty of things to say as well. I'm just too scared to say them. is the real difference. I had some great one-liners then. I'm just bailing on it, to be honest.
Yes. Raven is also a terrible human being. I'm just far more fearless.
Yeah. Another Skull of Gul'dan here for Thijs. It's going to get him a lot of power for not a lot of mana here. Oh, and then no. Oh, jeez.
That is actually pretty bananas, isn't it? Is this suddenly a winnable game?
Does he win?
There's no way, right?
Well,
I don't believe it.
He can grow his adventure so it's almost always safe. He mana burns, he can hero power the 4/3, and he can still equip the glaive. Just to, I guess, spend the mana because he doesn't want to do anything else this turn, right? Or did he just cane? Why not?
And then
whoa.
Warglaives?
Oh, is he gonna cane trade?
Yeah, I think so.
I thought he was just gonna hero power to protect his minions, that's all.
It's just not really like efficient use of your cards. The way the costs broke down in your hand, pressing hero power there just wasn't like efficient use of buffing questing adventurer over the course of 2 turns, I think was the problem.
That's true. I guess my only thought is how many more ways does Quest Adventure die on 5 versus 6?
Right.
And there are a few, don't get me wrong, there are definitely a few.
Oh, suddenly, Felkeine's just down to 16, facing down Warglave's Metamorphosis. How did this happen?
Strike, not something Felkeine's wants to see right now.
Oh, rips the Spectral Sight as well.
6 health on Tiamat makes him almost immortal, though. Oh no, he can hero power and then hero power, right?
Yes.
If he wants to trade, ouch.
Imagine trading.
All I see is weakness.
You deal 13 this turn and you have a 3-attack weapon. Why would you ever trade?
His weakness.
Oh, I'm not saying he should, I'm saying he could.
No, it's illegal.
Job's done.
Okay, fine.
Someone arrest Thijs. Did you see TJ come in and camera shot? Was it Blizzard Police?
It's fine. It doesn't actually make a difference, does it? Because the game ends before these last 2 charges get used. It's not like you need every single charge of that weapon to go face.
Yeah. And also, if you don't trade and Felkeine has 6 damage in hand, you die. If you do trade and Felkeine has 6 damage in hand, you still die. So
it really doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, it doesn't actually
you just protect more of your minions in play, which again doesn't really make much of a difference, but is technically accurate. So in the real world, trading is probably better.
Well, It's not great, is it? How did Thijs win this game, Sol?
Demon Hunter has never lost a game in its life. You can't beat Demon Hunter. It's actually impossible.
Anytime you beat Demon Hunter,
you were asleep.
It was a dream, a simulation. You were daydreaming. Just anything is more true than beating Demon Hunter. Well, there it is. Felkeine taking a loss, game number 1. Even a shake of the head from Thijs. Even Thijs doesn't believe how he wins. And Thijs wins games.
How was that a win?
I'm trying to think if there was really a standout moment where Felkeine did something to like slow himself down, if that makes sense, or not secure the game.
Turn, right? It was when the Zephyrus didn't hit the cleave for his plan with the Edwin. Like that really cost him a lot of tempo.
I guess, yeah, true.
But like do you know what I mean? Like, I don't necessarily know if that turn is like anyone's fault. Like, I think Felkeine presuming Zeph would give him cleave there is a reasonable assumption. I think Zephyrus, based on the way that Zephyrus works, not giving cleave there and giving the lifesteal instead is reasonable. And now we all know that, and we move on. Right?
Yeah.
Is that
and don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say, oh, Felkeine messed up, that's why he lost. I'm just genuinely trying to think, because I feel like the game was played pretty well from both sides. That's the point, right?
Yeah.
And when the game's played well from both sides, you look if there's even the tiniest of play differences that would have made a difference in the outcome of the game or the match. So very interesting there, very close game, and I think we're all shocked. Like I said, Thijs was shaking his head at the end of the game there. I think he was surprised he even won that game, especially with that opening hand. So pretty incredible overall. That's just game 1 between Felkeine and Thijs. So I believe we are going to go to a break while we set up game number 2 though. So don't go anywhere. I'll be right back to continue Felkeine versus Thijs.
Hello everybody, I'm here with the 3 Japanese representatives for Asia Pacific Grandmasters, Alutemu, Glory, and Possessi. And we're going to play a little game. Here I have 3 blindfolds. If you guys could go ahead and put those on. All the way over your eyes. So you guys can't see anything, right?
見えません。何も見えないです。
All right, I'm going to need a few minutes. So if you guys don't mind just waiting here, I'll be back in just a few moments, okay?
はい。待っててって。
They put me in charge of Grandmasters. I bought the blindfolds, I don't have an idea. I bought the blindfolds and I don't have an idea.
これパグこれどこに売ってんねやろなこういうの。
Saddle! Yes, Saddle! I have 3 Japanese players blindfolded in that room. I need an idea. What can I do?
This is your bit, TJ. We told you this wouldn't work.
TJ 遅いな。
遅いな。結構大掛かりなもの持ってきたりしてるのが。
Vaseline? Paper tea set? Banana trophies? Who bought banana trophies? The rubber chicken. The rubber chicken.
助けて TJ。
助けて TJ。
I can make this work. I can make this work. Check it out. All right, you guys can go ahead and remove your blindfolds.
Oh.
You can take them off.
Okay.
あ、取って OK 取って OK。
Congratulations. You guys have won.
どういうことや。
終わり?
We are back to continue the series right now between Thijs and Felkeine, and I believe it's going to be Demon Hunter Mirror kicking it off. And if that's the case, what do you think about that, Sol? Answering Demon Hunter with Demon Hunter, fighting fire with fire. Yep.
Dude, every time. One of these days I will actually remember. I was just muted again. I apologize. Yes, Felkeine is playing the OTK version of Demon Hunter, which changes the matchup just a little bit. I don't know who to call favored now. I just honestly haven't tested Demon Hunter as OTK Demon Hunter since the nerfs came in. But I think common wisdom was that the lifesteal was just too effective in the mirror beforehand, unless they got off to the absolute aggressive super nuts, which even then you had Immolation Aura and everything else to be able to take care of as well. But I don't know whether that favorable matchup still carries over now the deck's a little bit slower. But certainly very interested to find out.
Yeah, and funnily enough, what's interesting is the deck is different and not the kind of new slow tempo Demon Hunter deck that we've been seeing. So Thijs isn't running Priestess of Fury, not running the Fel Screamers. Thijs is just using those slots to use Quest Adventure, right? So he isn't running maybe the cards that could catch up on a health difference or the lifesteal from Felkeine, such as the Priestess of Fury. But to make up for it, the Quest Adventures just might be unanswerable, which ends up doing the same job just in a different way. But I do wonder if the slightly slower Demon Hunter in terms of the minion based tempo versions would be a little bit more effective in this specific matchup.
Never catch me.
Pretty nice opening from Felkeine so far though. He does have that inner demon, which is going to interrupt the left hand side of his hand pretty soon, which means he's going to struggle to get a skull over there anytime soon. But just his early curve, right? Just removal plus card draw in a very efficient manner to take care of Thijs' start means he's probably in a pretty good spot so far.
Yeah, even Kane just being in his hand means that less of a tool used for just raw damage to face and more of just a 3/5 with charge. That's just a good minion to kill other minions with, right? So even just using that in a defensive form will be pretty nice. The inner demon, definitely frustrating to be on that side of the hand, but the amount of times Felkeine has played this deck, he'll know how to manage it at least, right? It's not like, oh, what do I do now? My inner demon's on the left side. And the rest of his hand's looking pretty small in terms of its mana cost as well, so at least Felkeine looks like he can quite reliably work from the right side of his hand anyway.
Yeah, that's fair.
This player's playing like lightning, sort of like almost can't keep up with the pace in which Yarla and Bunny Hopper have set into me today. This feels like the fastest game of Hearthstone I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that from Felkeine last week, right? Particularly in that series up against Casey, which genuinely was played too fast to cast. Like, it was actually impossible to cast that series.
Yeah.
But yeah, Felkeine clearly does like this kind of pace if he can get away with it.
Mana Burn going to come down there. Still, at least in my opinion, Sol, a criminally underused card in Demon Hunter right now in a lot of builds. I feel like Mana Burn is just so insane, yet it's not in probably the most common versions of Tempo, at least.
Yeah, certainly looks very effective here, as this is pretty much just a hard pass from Thijs.
Thijs has a bit of a slow hand in himself, actually. 2 Warglaives, a Skull, and the Metamorphosis. That's a lot of mana to kind of chug through, right? To get to that Skull of Good and big draw.
Yep. And now, miraculously, the OTK deck is just a head on board and beating
yeah.
down.
But I'm just never going to count Thijs out of a Demon Hunter game anymore after the last one. I think Thijs is probably in the lead now.
I'm curious about that 1-1 going face last turn from Thijs. Like, I know he is the aggressor, and, like, normally I would see a 1-1 ignoring a 2-1 in an aggressive deck and be like, yeah, push that one, you know? But, like, in this spot, Felkeine was almost always going to hero power that 1-1 and just have a 2-1 still on board. And Thijs really wanted to spend 5 mana on a card this turn because his hand's so clunky, which means he's, like, not really able to return the favor. So I'm not sure as to whether that should have traded.
So
also,
my question, Sol, is does he go into this 2-1?
Thijs' health total, sorry, is actually very relevant as well in this matchup, right? Like
Yes.
it's not like his health total is actually expendable.
Oh, he's gonna coin beam.
He's gonna eye beam it. I like this.
Okay, okay. My main point was, I'm not saying, excuse me, I'm not saying you should just put 5 damage into a 2-1. My point overall was Warglaive still has 2 charges left, and he has a whole nother set of Warglaives on the shelf as well.
Yeah.
I know it's mana to spend, so it's not like that second Warglaives is free and he can equip it whenever he wants. But it's there. He has it this game, so he does have many swings to sort of plow through with these glaives.
Well, this turn sucks.
Yes, it does. Not even enough mana to say just push an inner demon, right? You know, and just go, okay, well, here's a bad turn. Let's just spend the most mana on the clunkiest card.
Yeah, I think he would have been overjoyed if he could just play an inner demon that turn.
Right,
It would have been so much better.
Now I am
Yikes.
complete.
Well,
Big
game on.
old yikes.
Okay, well, that's probably the card he actually needed, right?
Yeah.
Because Skull doesn't matter. He's got a million. Doesn't matter, but he's got a million cards. That's fine. So now you can see Felkeine just adding up damage now, seeing how many twin slices and anything he can get to actually get some damage along with a hero power, how much he's going to heal, and if he can actually set up 2-turn, because again, he does have Inner Demon, which is effectively plus what, 10 heal next turn?
Yep.
That's going to push him out of range.
Almost certainly, yeah. So the most important thing is just to live this turn, which,
Yes.
as you mentioned, the Warglaives is the only card in his deck which really allows him to do that.
And I agree with this. I don't think, although the cards are very flexible, I don't think there's many reasons to try and hold on to them and to be too fancy. You know, going off the back of what you said, he needs to stay up. But it looks like with that second slice kept in hand, Felkeine has added up the max amount of damage he can possibly take this turn and knows it's not 14. Or it's lower than 14, should I say.
So he's taking 8, 9 when the hero power refreshes, and then Thijs would have 6 mana remaining, which is glaive bound plus 1 extra damage. Yeah, sure. I mean, this seems like a reasonable total.
Demons.
Thijs has a tough choice now as well. But I think with the Adraki Warblades, then the Skull is just feels like the play, because you know with the amount of cards Felkeine has in hand, he's going to heal for a good chunk next turn as well. So you might as well take the turn, set up an even bigger turn going forward.
Whoa.
I still like all this though. I think the hero power, the swing's still good. Do you swing with a weapon? Ooh, it's gonna
I'm not
keep
sure
it,
about
okay.
this. I kind of think it was better to make the board there, because then your opponent can't just do this, right? They can't just spend 8 mana on Inner Demon and smash you in the face if you have like an Altruist and a Questing Adventure and some stuff on the board.
I guess is that the only thing they play around though?
It's the scariest thing.
The problem, if they clear the questing though, do you just lose anyway? Is my question. And this allows Thijs to make the biggest questing ever. Because with full caster vision, you just eye beams them down, right? You know, and gets it done that way.
Yeah.
Felkeine also runs Consume Magic, which can silence, which makes the questing more manageable. So maybe Thijs was just thinking that I actually want him to just use stuff, and then I just make the biggest quest adventure with the most mana I can. Definitely a tough turn, though. I don't think it was easy.
No, I definitely agree with that.
This is where it's like the seesaw of this matchup, right? They can both burst, they can both kind of sustain. So it's like, Each person's just doing that little bit extra each turn, and is it going to be enough for health for Thijs? No damage for Felkeine apart from the hero power for 1. Ooh. Oh, are you telling me we're coming down to a Skull Soul?
Skull, Consume Magic, and Immolation this turn at a minimum.
Yeah, it's a worst case. Wait, should he have? Skull first?
Probably means he wants to I-beam this turn, just for extra health security.
Okay. Oh, I just would have thought he wanted to draw more cards for, like, oof. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of with you.
And like you said, because the minimum was a board clear, even with Skull, I don't know. Are you really going to get 13'd with no weapon equipped?
Don't think so.
Felkeine is going to draw a certain level of card. Mana burn going to come down as well, which will also reduce Thijs' capabilities going forward. But really surprised there. That's something that took me a bit off guard there. The no Skull of Gul'dan. Oh, mana burn back.
Questing number 2, Consume Magic Immolation Aura number 2.
Don't burn away to ash.
It really isn't the matchup that Questing shines, is it?
Not particularly, no.
Imagine this in like the tempo matchup. It's so much better.
Yeah. I mean, if you do get it early, if you it's just the same turn. If you play it on if you play it on 3 with like a twin slice or like 3 coin 1 drop or something, and then you know they're unfavored to have the consume magic at that point, and then you know you just hit them for like 7 with it next turn, it can still be pretty effective.
It can, but Felkeine going to take the win in the Demon Hunter mirror based on class, but not on archetype. Felkeine looks stressed. I know he's very emotive, but today he looks like a little bit like. I guess it's a bit different. He just doesn't want to get knocked out the group straight away, or at least early. Excuse me, because he just looks less, manically emotive like he normally looks, and more like, oh, okay, 1-1. Like still a long way to go, but I gotta win. That's strange seeing him like that.
Yeah, he definitely does seem to usually just have a lot of fun playing Hearthstone, like win or lose, but he certainly seems, very invested in this. But it makes sense. Like, this is the highest form of competitive Hearthstone that you can play right now. So, you better believe that these players are invested and emotionally connected into the outcomes of their games. And I think he's had a couple of very stressful games so far. With Demon Hunter involved in all of them. That first game is just unbelievable that he ended up losing it. And then that one coming all the way down to the wire, needed the lifesteal on exactly the turn that he picked it up, or he was going to find himself super dead to the amount of damage that Thijs was representing.
Yeah, and interestingly enough now, because this last hero standing, Felkeine is going to be on his Demon Hunter that's combo again. Thijs has Hunter or Druid left, and I'm not sure how much Thijs will have had much practice against or expected combo Demon Hunter, especially this week. But also, I'm not even really that sure how Hunter does versus combo Demon Hunter, and that hurts me a little bit, because I feel like if there's matchups I should know or do know, it is the Hunter ones. But I'll be honest, I've just barely faced any combo Demon Hunters after like day 3 or something on ladder, or 4, after the expansion. It's not really caught on, has it? Or at least for me, it's not.
I mean, there's still a few of them around. I'm trying to find a way to phrase this. It doesn't sound harsh, but I can't. Maybe they're just only common at High Legend, Raven?
Hey, I've been High Legend, right? It's the most points, isn't it? Is that not
yeah, that's true. You have been the highest. Yeah.
But anyway, let's get into game number 3. And it is not going to be the Hunter anyway, so we can continue that conversation and maybe a little bit later on, or maybe for my sake, not.
Yeah.
But Thijs is going to be on the Druid going up against this Demon Hunter here. And how does this one go? Because this Demon Hunter actually does run AoE that we saw in the last game in the form of that card, the Immolation Aura.
Yes, typically Immolation Aura is an absolute beating in this matchup, and though the deck does play Overflow and Crystal Power, which can give it a decent amount of sustain against what the Demon Hunter is trying to do, but when you combine all the damage naturally in the deck, plus an Altruiste turn, which, let's not forget that Altruiste on its own is also a beating against this deck,
And most other decks.
I think you'll normally find that the Demon Hunter has enough damage to get there most of the time.
Yeah, big deal for me as well is the Consume Magic that is conveniently just appeared in hand for Felkeine. Deals with a lot of the Ironbark shenanigans of the Druid creating like one massive taunt minion, right? With Consume Magic and Kane to a lesser extent, but also similar. It's a very easy way that Felkeine can just go, there's that one awkward taunt in the way. Oh, it's gone, finished, done. So very easy to just get through and get some consistent damage. Also, whenever you say Crystal Power, for some reason all I hear is Crystal Palace. I'm like, why are we talking about that? It's really weird.
No. Okay.
I can't shake it either. It's strange. Ooh, Consume Magic there just to draw a card. Definitely not the end of the world, and Felkeine does want to cycle through his deck quickly. But does mean he's down to just the one silence in his hand.
Yeah, most lists these days have cut the Blade Dancers, which I'm just checking, and yep, Felkeine is not playing Blade Dancer in his deck, which is kind of the other way. You could push through big taunts in the late game, like when you have your big Kel'Thas combo turn, and you just like pop off, right?
Yeah. So, okay. I was gonna say, do you think? Okay. I wanted to talk about mana burn, right? So, mana burn into turn or into 4 mana is obviously good to stop overgrowth.
Yeah.
Would you always do that over potentially mana burning post overgrowth, or into say a non-overgrowth turn 5 to stop a glowfly? Or do you think that was just convenient where it was?
I think locking out turn 4 is really strong. Not just because of overgrowth, but if they don't have the overgrowth, they also sometimes just have like Innovate Glowfly Swarm or something like that, which you're fine against because you have Immolation Aura. You're kind of happy if they do that, but it is just another option that you take away from them.
Because I think in this deck, because the mana total is so important to Druid, because it also, as you can see now, activates certain cards to an extent, then I feel like the mana burn timing can be super impactful in this matchup specifically.
Sure.
Thijs does have Forest Aid next turn as well. He's just deciding whether he wants to kill this 2-1 and take a value trade onto the Novice Engineer with this Bog Beam. I don't think it's worth. Oof, Thijs does though.
Thijs disagrees.
I just think with Overflow as available next turn to potentially draw. Let me just double check, but I'm pretty confident. Yeah, he is running a Mount Seller, and he is running KT, of course. I just wondered if the Bog Beam was worth more than a 2-1.
Demons? Demons.
Slow turn for Felkeine, but necessary one. I don't really see anything else he can do with his hand here. The other option is to start working from the left, which kind of just involves like tossing away Zephyrus at some point to get his skull outcasted. But he's going to need to cast an Immolation Aura before he can do that, which means he needs to wait for a turn like this, where Immolation is actually good because you just can't throw away an Immolation Aura in this matchup like that. That seems ridiculous.
And definitely now there goes the plan of maybe getting Skull from the right active, and that's long gone now with the Demon draw.
Yep. So you for sure just have to play the Zephyr at the Seer, because now next turn he is opened up to be able to drop that Skull. But that also means he's going to lose his second Consume Magic in the process as well.
Ty's looking a little bit confused there with the Zephyrus, but I think if he sits and thinks about it for a second, and he saw where Zephyrus was played from, he's probably should be able to add up to a decent read that something's coming in terms of Outcast. Because if Zephyrus didn't unlock a card, there's no reason that Felkeine would feel the need to play tempo with these two minions, right?
No, there's usually only 2 reasons why you tempo Zephyrus in this deck. One is Outcast, and the other is just hand size.
Yes. Well, here's a relatively large Glowfly turn, especially with that Power of the Wild, and a Soul of the Forest afterwards, which really just demands, well, not a Zephyrus anymore, but potentially an Altruis clear if he can get the Soul of Forest stuck on these Glowflies.
Yep. Which means this Skull of Gul'dan pretty much has to hit exactly altruises.
Oh, second in a demon. Wow.
Nope. 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 Well, Felkeine, you are in trouble, my friend. There is currently 17 in play, and a single Savage Roar would be plus 14. The Zephyrus does kill one of them. The weapon kills another. So he's chilling, I guess, as far as you can possibly be chilling.
Can he get away with killing one?
So if he kills one, there would be, what, 14 on board and plus 12 from one Savage Roar, so it's 26.
I'm just thinking, if he ever considers that he could potentially lethal next turn.
You want to counter lethal? Yeah. It's kind of,
you know, because I feel like it's what he might have to do. So if he killed one and was fairly likely to live, does he just do extra 3 damage to face and go?
Well, hold on, because he already has Kael'thas, 2 cheap spells, 1 Inner Demon, another 1 cheap spell, a Spectral Sight, a second Inner Demon, and then Metamorphosis for 2. Which I think he already had him covered anyway without having to push the extra damage.
Sure. Oh, it's scary, isn't it, when we like, can Felkeine just,
that, though.
Just kill him?
Yeah. This deck hurts.
Probably important now, especially after seeing Consume Magics, that he does go for the Ironback. I know we're using... Well, I'm using Cast Vision here because Thijs on 29, but you've seen, like, the Consume Magics go, so I think I like just putting something in the way here.
Yep, for sure.
There's no Mount Cellar in hand, there's no KT. Sometimes you've just got to not get too fancy, basically.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Yeah, he needs a cheap spell draw here, or that's not cheap enough. He can't do everything that I was talking about last turn. He's actually got needs 1 more mana to be able to do that.
Tough one as well, because this 6 health is actually a nightmare, isn't it? Because I was thinking, oh, can he just clear this off, use his weapon to gain some health back, but he can't really do enough damage without throwing away an inner demon, and he needs the Inner Demon to actually have a chance of win now.
Yeah, he for sure needs the Inner Demons to go face here. He's down Zephyrus, he's already down 1 Chaos Strike. Well, this is now the 2nd Chaos Strike that he's down. Yep. So he's very, very limited on damage right now. Yeah, those Consume Magics. The first one very early on to draw a card is the, I guess, questionable one. The second one was necessary because he needed to outcast his Skull. He just had no option.
Right.
Although I think at that point he didn't have Skull in his hand, right? So the way the game panned out, he would have had to have played that Consume Magic to get the Skull over to the left anyway, I think. Not 100% sure on that one.
Yeah, I can't recall if I'm completely honest. We'll have to check the VOD.
But it is a problem with this deck, is that you kind of go through phases of like, okay, I'm going to try and hold these cards for when I need them, and then you quickly realize that you just really can't hold cards because you have to churn through your cards because you need certain cards to slide over to the left-hand side of your hand, and in order to do that, you have to spend cards. So it's very difficult to like hold a Zephyrus, to hold a Consume Magic, you know, all that kind of stuff. Which I think is sort of one big problem with the way the deck works a lot of the time.
Right.
Which I think you saw in full effect there for Felkeine as Thijs takes it down with the Savage Roar.
It's definitely very tricky when your game-winning cards are the cards you don't want to draw, i.e. Inner Demon, right? Because I think both games now, we've seen the game 1 he had Inner Demon quite early. He did win, but game 2, you know, he had those Inner Demons kind of in the way a lot of the time, as well as some of the early silences. So it's just a tough one when like they're your best cards to win the game, but you need everything else first. It's almost like additional Zephyrus and Alex Strazes in a 2-off deck, right? You want them because they're great, but you need to like draw all the rest of your deck before they become like truly active a lot of the time anyway. But the multiple waves were dealt with. by Felkeine there, but Thijs just has one wave too many with that nice taunt in the way just to go forward in this series. And now Felkeine is on his warrior against Thijs's druid as the last deck he has to go 2-0 with to be able to take this series and keep his life alive this weekend.
Yeah, still another strong performance for Felkeine regardless of what happens here. Making top 8 in back-to-back of the first 2 weeks as a new GM is obviously huge for him. But of course, he's still got his eyes set on that lofty goal of 6 more points this week.
Yeah, I think every cycle, every GM season, we're going to have a question, whether it's on purpose or not, of whether the new GMs can hang with the current GMs, right? Or the old GMs or whatever. And Felkeine took about 2 minutes to answer that question for me, and it's yes, he definitely can. And that's been maybe even decided before he started in GM, but like you said, these 2 weeks just have looked so fantastic for him that there's not even a question to be asked as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and that 2 minutes that he took to convince you was his entire series against Casey.
Yes, I was like, you know what, mate? If you're playing at this speed, you could stay. It's like I get to choose. There is a coin overgrowth available for Thijs, and I don't see a great reason not to. There's a fear factor, of course, whenever there's a challenge on board full health that Felkeine goes for some kind of damage into Rampage to set up a duplicate, but Thijs saves the coin.
Yeah, I generally just don't like coining overgrowth unless it's a very specific setup, because it gets you to 6, which... who cares? Like, what does that do for your deck, right? It's just not really a relevant number to have. So having access still to the coin as a KT activator, as a Mount Seller activator, and then just ramping naturally on 4, most of the time, I think is just better.
Yeah, I guess for me, I was seeing the Wrath in hand and saying, well, then you can maybe draw with Wrath next turn and see what you get from there. I do understand your point, though, that a lot of the deck is activated much later, so you don't need to overly rush it into 6. I think I have problems with this deck anyway. I just never get it. You know, you talk Mount Seller, KT. They're things I never got to work with me with this deck, so I always struggle to like base thoughts around it, even though that's literally how the deck's built. I think I would more naturally into, you know, the much more waves of token style that people are going at the moment.
You just want to play Silver Name. Oh, Felkeine missed 1 damage just when we were saying how good you were. Come on.
Felt that one. As a pro, any order lulls you feel on stream, right? You're like, ooh, I'm gonna get got for that one. Ugh.
Yeah, for sure. It's like the old days of like not putting your shredder in the middle. We used to just get slated by everyone that was watching. It's like, oh yeah, come on, like you've never made that mistake. Come on, shut up.
Oh, so good. So now Thijs has... Ooh, well, okay. I was going to say Thijs has all the combo-y spells. He's just missing the thing that activates them. i.e. Mount Seller or KT. Glowfly Swarm, not half bad, but...
What to do?
Okay, I might need you to dispel a myth here for me, Sol.
Okay.
I think when people talk about this matchup specifically, a lot of discussion is, oh, well, Warrior can just AoE down all Druid's stuff. I think there's a bit more to it than that, and I don't think they can just AoE down the stuff. I feel like people think that they run like 800 Blade Storms or something because they run a Risky Skipper. But where do you land on this? Do you think Thijs can Glowfly and be confident? Do you think he needs to, in this matchup, you need to save for a Soul of the Forest Glowfly or a Glowfly buff?
Yeah, I think, you know, if you're playing like Gift of the Wild, for example, then life gets a lot easier. But Glowfly Soul of the Forest is definitely something you can go for because, like, yeah, you're right. You know, there's a lot of AoE, but you're also right in, like, a Risky Skipper has 3 health, so that's how much AoE it can do, unless you get a Titanic Lackey to buff it. So suddenly, if you're adding like the 4th point of health on like Glowfly Swarm, Soul of the Forest, or you make off with Gift of the Wild, or you're like double Power of the Wild for 4/4s, or just a big Mount Seller board where you get like Dread Ravens with 4 health, for example.
Yeah.
Like 4's the number you're shooting for essentially, because that's the hard number for them to deal with.
I just hear like some certain people talk about Warwick. It has never-ending AOE, you know, like waves and waves, which it definitely does not.
That's just not true. Yeah, it's just not true.
Well, Glowfire.
Maybe in their head they've just combined Warmaul Challenger and Risky Skipper into the same card. It's just a 110 that deals AOE. Yeah.
Imagine if there's a card that's like merge 2 cards together. Like,
yeah.
No. Yeah,
that's actually a sick idea for a card. I want that.
Discover 2 cards, merge them.
Yeah. It's like Rexar Builder Beast, but like universe.
It's just 2 cards. Yeah, I've been saying.
Yeah. Like maybe like 1 Battlecry and 1 Death Rattle or something like that.
I was thinking spells as well, so let's just go nuts. Oh, you just get like I don't know, a Tyrion that frostbolts as a battle cry or something. I don't know. That'd be sick, that wouldn't it? But yes, this is really what you want to do versus Warrior here. Thijs not only has the Soul of the Forest on his minions, but then has 2 of them at 5 health, which makes everything just that little bit more awkward to deal with.
Yeah. He does have a 3/11 in there. It's just a 3/11. That's so funny. Why is it a 3/11?
And it's a 3-drop Sol.
Yeah.
It's a 3-drop.
Hello? Kaboom? What?
What?
Hello?
What's wrong?
It's fine.
I'm confused. What's wrong?
I was just wondering what the pause was from Felkeine, as I felt like he needed to get on with this turn.
Okay.
And blow up this board as efficiently as possible.
Ooh. Draw your deck. Oh, Battle Rage burn.
The second Battle Rage after he already has his whole deck in his hand. Disaster.
What an absurd deck. Sweeping Strike's a subtle special. This is known as a subtle special.
It is, yeah. I love this card. It's great.
So now Felkeine not only did a pretty good job at clearing up a good chunk of the board, has a lot of health too, and Druid really good at doing maybe around 30 damage with full burst. But it's going to be tough to go much further over that, especially when there's still an Armor Smith there as well. Is this just going to slip away from Thijs at this point?
Certainly looks like it. There's a 3/9 and a 6/5 that need dealing with, let alone actually taking care of the armor and then redeveloping a big board of Thijs' own.
Ooh, he doesn't need to...
Just too big of a question.
At least he doesn't need to overflow just to play around the second Battle Rage.
Yeah, I'm sure that would have been top of his list of priorities this turn otherwise. See, I love Warmaul Challenger. It's such a sweet.
It's definitely fun, isn't it? Even if it just like beats up a 1/1, you're still pretty happy about life, aren't you?
I just like that it's a 1/10. I just want to play it. Forget fighting anything. Just 1/10 is fun.
Imagine. Well, maybe don't, because it could be something nightmares are made of. Imagine if it was a neutral card, so every class could play with it. The game would be so silly, wouldn't it? Just be warm.
That does sound a bit much.
Hearthstone. Heroes of Warmaul Challenger. Felkeine now has the tough decision to decipher his whole deck at the same time and work out exactly what he wants to do. Second Risky Skipper seems like a good plan, though.
Yep. Can Bloodsworn here as well if he wants to before he starts reducing too much health.
What about
he
Frothing
could also
as well?
just hold on to that. What about what, sorry?
Frothing. You've seen a lot of the removal tools, right?
That is true, yeah.
Oh, I would have loved the Frothing that turn instead. And it's a Frothing, right? Who doesn't love to win with that card?
Someone's gotta lead the charge.
Felkeine saying, so, can you do 8 million damage? Because you're going to need to win this game.
Yeah. It's just one of those warrior games, isn't it?
Yep.
Felkeine's at 56 with a full board of chunky minions. He's killed everything Thijs has played.
Thijs
It's just one of those games.
has some, I don't know, mosquitoes and a hose pipe or something. I don't know. I'm just
A hose pipe?
Yeah, overflow. It's loads of water, right?
Okay, got you. I thought you just like looked out your window and just like said the first thing you saw. Then
I'd be worried if there was a hose pipe on the second floor of the house, just hanging up there.
I mean, I don't know if your room like overlooks your garden or something. Come on, I've never been to your house.
Yeah, I know, Son. The fact that you keep refusing my invites annoys me every day.
Wow. On the record to show, I have never been invited to race.
Untrue. Untrue. But anyway, Thijs takes the loss on his Druid, which means this series is evened up. Felkeine with the Warrior getting the job done. And although I won't say that game was like a mind-blowing example of what Warrior can do, but Felkeine really had a good grasp of it, right? I don't think he was clutching at straws. I think he just executed the turns very, very well and did what the Warrior does. Because my big question about that deck is, because it can be played in so many different ways, you need to have that catalog in your brain to know, okay, in this situation, I play the deck like this. In that situation, I play it like that. And I think Felkeine just looked extremely solid, even with 10 cards in hand, and his turn still looked pretty smooth to me.
Yeah, I think both players played it pretty well. I think Thijs understood his curve pretty well. I think he knew that he needed to go for like the 4 health boards over the Soul of the Forest or whatever. But I think because of one of the key inflection points in that matchup is when that first 4 health board appears, however it does end up appearing, the Warrior just has to have like a scramble turn that turn, which is exactly what you saw Felkeine respond with, where he did his 2 damage AoE, and then he just did as much as he could of other stuff just to be able to take, I think he just killed like 2 extra 2/2s that turn or something, right? And that's very often the most important turn in the matchup, because that's their big like win or lose turn. If you can shut down that one turn and you get a good battle rage off in the process, then that's very often GG from the Warrior perspective.
Yeah, and this is Thijs' Highlander Hunter, which is what he has left against Warrior, and very reminiscent of previous Highlander Hunter, missing a few cards, gained a couple of new ones. The highlights, Zixor Apex Predator, fantastic card in itself. The Imprisoned Felmore we saw a little bit earlier on in the day. But overall, it's Dragon Highlander Hunter. At its core, nothing has dramatically changed, really, and it is going to be going up against this Pain Warrior. What was that noise, Sal? Didn't you make a noise?
So, it was a weird, stifled, snorting laugh. Let's not talk about it. Fairy Dragon, like he just drew Fairy Dragon Scamhammer again.
It's
like,
Thijs, of course he does. He's just good.
Absolute lord.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a Zephyrus as well. Okay.
It's a pretty big deal, actually. The Zephyrus is one of the cards that Hunter and Highlander Hunter specifically, especially post Subject 9. Shock Horror struggles with card draw, and Zephyrus, although doesn't necessarily get card draw, really can just fill in the gap the Hunter often has around, turn 4, 5, 6 maybe, and can really fill that out if required when you have it in the early game. It's really nice.
Sure. I think it's also a pretty important counterpunch in the matchup, like when they have their first big like risky skipper turn. They usually end that turn with like 4 smallish minions on the board, and they've like battle rage on their hand. But if you can't deal with that board state, you might as well just bottom right at that point, right?
Especially as Hunter, you just lose,
Yeah, dealing with that board is step number 1, which is actually quite hard to do a lot of the time if they've cleared your board. So, Zephyrus Holy Nova or something like that is usually good enough to get you out of that position.
Yep, and just hovered over the cards on the screen. That definitely isn't interactive for me. I think the Stormhammer overall is a pretty good pick here. Is he going for the Corsair to kill off the weapon? Okay, I can get behind that, actually. This is nice because it's not only tempo, but obviously removing the weapon as well. He's going to get the good news. Yep. Weapon number 2. And also there's a Corsair cash in hand for Felkeine, which means he has access to that third one as well.
Does he play the third one?
Oh, is he playing 1-1? Am I going crazy?
I'm not sure. Yeah, he is playing 1-1.
Oh, okay. Apologies for that. Corsair cash sucks now. Okay, well, the hero power for the secret, not too crazy there for Thijs. Rottnest Drake not going to be live, but he still has time, even just the Stormhammer and the hero power going forward. Next turn, Felkeine going to get some information as to what that secret is. As for I keep flicking across to the wrong Hearthstone deck. As for Thijs, he is running a Snake Trap and Freezing, the pretty common 1-on-1 combo for Highlander.
Yep. So he now, of course, knows, having hit the minion, that it is freezing.
I was the first, you know.
Was this just to make Thijs trade? This didn't look like the best turn in the world into a freezing trap. I know he can. He has risky skippers, so he can kill it in other ways. But
Yeah.
So the important thing here, although Thijs is looking pretty good, Direct's favorite card, the risky skippers along with an Armor Smith can really push Hunter out if they can't keep up with the card draw. And with tracking in hand for Thijs, the Zigzaw, and even just the Bran, it's actually not looking so bad.
Felkeine just looked very confused about the fact that his Terran was getting traded into there. This is one of those kind of ugly looking hands for the warrior where you have all the board clear tools, but you always have that feeling when you sort of get to grips with this deck that if you know, pop off like this on a turn and you're not battle raging in the same turn, then you're just going to run out of stuff eventually.
I think the important part is he does have a Rampage, which is not a battle rage, but it's still something that Hunter's going to struggle to deal with as long as one of these minions stick.
I guess he did see that Zephyrus get used as well, and like I was talking about, that does make this board state pretty difficult to answer for Highlander Hunter. They just don't really play the cards to interact with a board like this.
I think this is potentially a very good tracking turn for Thijs as well. Although Zigzaw and Stormhammer look fantastic as it just fits. Next turn he'll want to Bran, but the turn after might be maybe a bit slow. So maybe he could have tracked in this turn instead and used a relatively easy board to deal with as that gap. But he has gone for the weapon as well and put a lot of respect into that risky skipper. I did say Rampage is a card that exists, obviously, so leaving the risky skipper up means that a Rampage plus more stuff could cause issues, but is it going to cause that many issues on like an empty board? I don't know.
Well, also, just leaving... If you don't isolate one minion, then what Felkeine could do is like attack with one minion, and then he has this second minion that's just a base for anything he wants to do, right? That's like free to attack. So I think cutting the board down to a single minion there means that, you know, your freezing trap is actually doing some work, and it's stopping them, you know, doing like a big whatever Rampage, Bloodsworn, Mercenary, you know, combo pop-off turn.
Okay.
I wonder.
I think it's fair.
Oh,
and I
yeah.
think it also just spent 6 mana very efficiently that turn, which, you know, I'm always on board with.
I don't know if you've heard about Hero Power Soul, but that would have made up the 2 mana very nicely. Get him. Yeah, also, I think the big question is going to be, and we're going to get to it very quickly, is if Thijs plays an 8/8 with charge, can Felkeine do anything about it? It's like, it is what the game's going to turn into, although this is a pretty solid preemptive answer for that, which means Thijs has to trade into it and lose his weapon, which... Here's the thing, maybe he just plays Rot Nest.
That does really suck. I don't want to lose this weapon.
Yeah, and are you really expecting to get a good Rot Nest Drake this game?
I'm not sure if it's about like expecting to get value out of Rot Nest Drake. It's about, you know, there's two things here that are kind of illegal. One is using up your Scam Hammer, and the other is just not playing King Crush on turn 7 when you have the option, right? Like, one of those things had to happen, so Thijs has just decided that this is the lesser of two evils.
Yeah, this one's definitely got the shorter jail term, I think.
It's just going to 7 mana Inner Rage.
I mean, it needs to go down, right?
Alright, look away, everybody. No one wants to see this. Alright, it's safe. It's safe, you can look again. Nothing happened.
Good follow-up, though. Okay, Wind Fury. Go.
Yep.
Oh, that's how you play Hunter. Take the Corrosive Breath. I would have loved the it wouldn't have been right, but I would have loved it so.
Take the Corrosive Breath.
Sets up lethal.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen worse plays. I would have subscribed to Thijs if he subscribed to his YouTube channel, of course. If he
yes.
if he played the Corrosive Breath there. Well, one thing I honestly didn't think would happen is this Hound Hunter looking this comfortable. Obviously only one game, but it's looked a lot better than I thought it would for Thijs, honestly.
Someone's gotta lead the charge.
But honestly, like, Felkeine hasn't really ever put a threatening board forward, has he? He's never really had that chance. Or all the cards, because imagine just one Bloodsworn turn that's okay from this deck.
Yeah.
Hunter's in trouble, like, almost instantly, right? But it's just not happened from this game.
Drink your blood. Eat your flesh.
If only you could
Everything
deal
about that
one
turn.
more damage.
Everything about that turn was hideous.
Life and hope of Wolf Viking.
Slam Deathwing every day of the week. Do you play Mad Aspect and hope it just trades the frothing?
Just 1-for-1's the frothing.
sick would that be?
You
Yes.
can just go face for 2.
That was definitely the play. No, that trades into the 6-1, and then you just have the you just have the Alex on.
Sure.
Oh.
These are the plays that us mere mortals don't see, Raven.
Exactly, and honestly, this is when people question, right? So, oh, is Thijs just a streamer? No, if he was just a streamer, he would have made these sick plays. But Thijs wants to win the game, so he's playing seriously.
I don't think I've ever seen double Deathwing off Alexstrasza before.
I might not have either. I've seen double of the same Deathwing before.
No, I haven't seen that either.
Oh, okay. I've seen the two. It was double Mad Aspect,
Okay.
which was made a very weird board state. But yeah, I've not seen one of each. That's pretty cool. Corrosive Breath would have been a good turn this turn.
Yes, it's a good turn because there's an 8/8 on the board, which is the card that you wouldn't have taken if you had a Corrosive Breath.
But maybe Thijs wouldn't be in this pickle with the double Deathwings if he hadn't took the Alexstrasza.
Look.
I'll stop.
If you're going to make absolutely zero sense, Raven, we're going to have words.
I've got to sprinkle them in now and again.
Yeah, I know.
Looks like this is going to be Faceless Corruptor, because basically what Thijs wants to do here, as I get back to regular casting mode, is this Alexstrasza wants to connect to face, right? This is priority numero uno.
Yep.
Kill command just protecting the Alexstrasza. Makes sense.
So many look away things have happened in this one game. Like, exploding a Stormhammer without getting a single extra Dragon Charge out of it. Felkeine just having to play a Blood Boil Brute for 7, in-a-rage it, and trade it into an 8/8. Thijs
double Deathwing.
Thijs kill commanding a 6/1. Everything is just super illegal this game.
Someone's gotta lead the charge.
Yeah. But Felkeine, don't know what he can get out of that, which really helps, and that's not going to be it. And Thijs takes the win and survives to continue on in the tournament today. Cheers for Thijs there, and unfortunately for Felkeine there, I was just giving him his moment to either stretch or fist pump. I'm not sure which one it was. Maybe both.
I don't know whether that was a flex or a stretch or what was going on, or some kind of weird dance move that's popular in the Netherlands. I'm not entirely sure.
You've not heard of the Thijs?
No, I haven't.
How could you not heard of that?
Why don't you tell me how to do the Thijs, Raven?
I'll leave that for Thijs himself, as he's the master, of course. But congratulations to him getting the win. Unfortunately for Felkeine, he is knocked out for the week. But again, it's his second top 8 run, which means he is stacking those points. So he is gone, but we are going to get Thijs versus Bunny Hopper as the final match of the day. But yeah, still pretty hyped for Felkeine, to be completely honest, Saul, because, like I said, not only is he new GM, maybe people questioning is he fit to hang out with the big boys, but yeah, honestly, he's not only had previous performance to get to this point, but 2 top 8s 2 weeks in a row. You can't even argue, can you?
And also, like, I almost don't want to bring this up, but like, he won a tournament during Specialist. Right, that's where the majority of his prize money came from to qualify through to this. There's a lot of people who, you know, didn't like Specialist as a format, and, you know, kind of like play down that whole period. So Felkeine's just like the Specialist guy that won a tournament, and maybe in some people's minds he still had something to prove. I think that's clearly absolute nonsense at this point. I think he's obviously an amazing player who has very much earned his spot here, and, you know, maybe we'll see him make it 3 weeks out of 3 and make it to top 8 again next week now.
Yeah, I've definitely seen crazier things, just like a lot of the plays in that last game. So, yeah, looking at this now, we're going to have Bunny Hopper versus Thijs to see who's going to join Jarl out of the Group A. Then, just as a recap for anyone who's joined us a little bit late today, we're going to be doing this all over again tomorrow for Group B. And then Sunday finishes with the 4 players and 3 matches to see who goes first, second, third, fourth, to decide who's going to get their points for this week and how they split down. But honestly, some highlights is just, if, you know, Thijs versus Bunny Hopper, just a great match we've got coming up anyway. Regardless of lineups, meta, just stick those 2 players into a match against each other and I'm happy. But also, if Thijs can make it out there, that's going to look pretty good for him as another back-to-back top 8 performer, cementing a points total for setting up going into the group stage.
Yeah, I think probably, all things considered, a slightly bigger match for Bunny Hopper than it is for Thijs. I think, you know, Thijs going top 8 into top 8, the difference between, you know, 4 points and 6 points is smaller for him potentially than it is for Bunny Hopper, who didn't cash in last week. But still, obviously, a huge match from both sides. And I think, rightly, as you said, you know, 2 of the arguable best players in the world at different points in time. So it's very, very nice to see these 2 clashing. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm not sure if we are going to a break or not. I think we might be. So, yeah, it does look like we are going to go to a break. Apologies about that. I should know better. So, yeah, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with the last match of the day. It's going to be Bunny Hopper versus Thijs. We'll be back soon.